Excuse me, Gimba. Well, I do know that this fuel scarcity situation is definitely not making people happy. And a new development has come up in Imo State, which is supposed to bring happiness to the people. Only recently, Governor Rochas Okorocha reshuffled his cabinet, and one of the new appointees was a commissioner for happiness and couples fulfillment, which has created some controversy of sorts. So to help shed a little more light on that development, we have with us We have joining us now a former Commissioner for Health in Imo State, Dr. Edward Ihejirika. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning to you. So this definitely, I mean, you have seen part of the outreach and that has greeted that appointment for Commissioner for Happiness and Couples Fulfillment. What was the thought behind that sort of appointment?
Well, let me say that at this point, it'd be proper to correct the impression out there. What it is purpose fulfillment. Commissioner for Happiness and purpose fulfillment. It is not couples, but purpose fulfillment. Purpose
fulfillment.
That's correct.
I see.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, this happening at a time like this is quite apt because everybody seeks happiness, including you, seated here. And the essence is to connect government with the people that are being governed. And as a matter of fact, the very first time that His Excellency muted this, in a meeting that we were having, many of us almost, wondering, why the essence of this at this time. But, with time, we began to connect with this. And the whole essence is, you govern the people, and you want to make sure that the output of whatever government puts in is felt by the people. People are happy when they go to schools, especially when the education is free. You're not paying for it. People are happy when you reduce the time it takes to get from one part of the city to another part of the city because you have done an urban renewal program. You have made it possible to reduce the time that it takes and also reduce stress. The output there's some happiness. You feel some sense of fulfillment if you don't have to spend so much time getting to your next destination. That also includes hospitals. People are happy when they can access a hospital closer to them than it would have been previously. Women are being empowered, and they're able to, reduce the poverty level within the system because they're being empowered.
So it's a good thing that you state all of this obvious. I mean, because some people will say, if you do your work as you have promised to do your work, the people should naturally be happy.
Absolutely.
Why do we need to create a separate ministry to ensure that the people are happy?
It's important to do that because happiness is something that everyone seeks. Everyone pursues happiness every day. Now, if you look at the entire essence of this ministry, it's actually, all other ministries are actually supposed to dovetail into this ministry. For example, there's no program or policy that any of these ministries will be doing that would not be connected directly with the Ministry of Happiness. Because essentially, the Ministry of Happiness will be like a coordinating ministry that will ensure that every ministry in every program that they do actually, seeks to ensure that the people are happy with the outputs of all the programs they'll be doing. So, I mean, it's apt. This is the first time in Nigeria that this is happening, and we're happy to take the lead on this.
Well, the Imo State has been taking the lead on quite a number of controversial things. I mean, let's not go into that yet, but we have seen tweets from the newly appointed commissioner, even though we do not know if those are really her tweets, considering the fact that the handle is not verified. Nevertheless, she said that, this is not the first time this is happening. If people do their research, I mean, that is assuming those comments are really from her, that if we do our research and find that in countries such as the United Arab Emirates, they do have a ministry for happiness, the minister has been appointed for happiness. But then, when people compare the variables, when you look at, Imo State in Nigeria, you look at the United Arab Emirates, some people will say that there's no basis for comparison on that level.
Yeah, I don't think she's actually making a comparison. she's just stating the obvious, that this is happening somewhere else. Imo State is a state in Nigeria, and in the last 6 years, this government has set up a platform to ensure that we create an enabling environment and make the people happier.
The question is, what indices would have informed it? Did the government notice a rate of depression among citizens? Has the rate of suicide gone up in the state? What precisely, what numbers have informed the creation of a ministry for happiness? For instance, how is it going to be measuring happiness? Yeah,
you can definitely measure happiness, because the people feel an essence of fulfillment, okay, when they realize that some of the promises that have been made by the government are actually being realized in terms of projects and programs that have been done by the government.
So what indices does the government intend to use? Is it going to be going around conducting a poll?
I just mentioned a few, okay? We've reduced the access time it takes to get from one part of the town to another part. It used to be 2 hours to get from just Old Owerri to New Owerri. We've reduced that time to about 10 minutes because we created more roads, we expanded the infrastructure as far as road construction is concerned. I also just said that we did an empowerment, okay? People now, a couple of women were empowered. Okay, about 300 and, in the 305 wards, we have about 10 women each were empowered. And that enabled them to start, small-scale kinds of businesses, reducing poverty. So, you see, we're using indices, various indices from various sectors to ensure that the government connects with the people in terms of what it is doing, and that output creates a sense of fulfillment, and that makes the people happy.
So, you did that without the creation of a ministry for happiness. What precisely would form the day-to-day activities of a ministry for happiness?
Absolutely. Going forward, every ministry, okay, in whatever programs or projects they're going to be doing going forward, it has to, be in synergy with the Ministry of Happiness. In other words, the Ministry of Happiness will be like a coordinating ministry for every other ministry. And this ministry is very dear to the heart of the governor. And it's important that, we see, to the success of this ministry, because we want to ensure that every ministry going forward must, dovetail into this coordinating ministry of happiness.
It should be about happiness of the people of Imo State.
Absolutely.
Part of the questions people have asked is, well, it's one thing for you to create a ministry of happiness, which would raise eyebrows because it's never been done anywhere on the African continent. I have, done some research. I found it, yes, in United Arab Emirates and perhaps a state in India, and even there it raised eyebrows. But then what people also find a little odd is that the governor appointed his sister to head such a ministry, which for them is a clear case of nepotism.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because the lady in question has been in government for a while. And she's eminently qualified. She's been a deputy chief of staff. She understands the internal workings of this government. But what is important there is that this is a supervisory position. All right, she is supposed to be supervising this new ministry until effectively a substantive commissioner is appointed for the ministry. So I don't think there's any wrong. As long as she understands the role, she understands the message that the governor wants to send out to the people, I think it's okay for her to be in that position.
What qualifications do you need to be a commissioner for happiness? I'm just curious. You say she's eminently
well, you have to be exposed. You have to have been around at least and understand what it takes to get people to be happy, and then connect with them as far as the ministry is concerned.